My name is Obiajula Aboma, aka Coolie Ranx. Today's date is June 3rd, 2023. The location is 542 West 22nd Street. And the name of the interviewer, Mark Yu, and my relationship to him is I am his father.
My name is Mark Aboma. Today's date is June 3rd, 2023. Location Manhattan, but I'm from Brooklyn. The name of the interview partner is Obiajula Aboma, aka Coolie Ranx, and the relationship to the interviewee is he's my father.
Hey.
All right, Pop. So I brought you here today because your story is important to my life, obviously, but I think a lot of people can take something away from your life. So I want to start with obviously your beginnings, but I want to cover what the themes of this interview is, or this conversation: belonging, migration, and home. So I want to talk about. I guess we'll start with home and come back to home. But first, I want to introduce who you are. So you are a musician, a writer, an actor, an activist. Most known for your works in ska and ragacore, which you pioneered and coined, right? You coined ragacore, right?
I created it.
You created that name, right?
Created the music as well.
Created the music as well.
Yeah.
I Wikipedia'd you also.
Oh, thank you.
I did. I was like, I had to get this right. I want to make sure I'm precise with this. So let's start with England, because that's where you were born. Okay. Can you recall your first memories in being in England, growing up in London? Like a fond memory. I want to start there.
Fond memory. I have several fond memories of living in England. We lived in, I was born in the area of Wood Green.
Wood Green.
Yeah. In front of the house, you had a tree which was affectionately known as a monkey tree.
Okay.
So when you came to the house, you always see the monkey tree, which was always a giggle and always a laugh. In our house, which we owned the house there, we had chickens in the house.
I didn't know this.
I'm telling you this stuff. You asked me a question.
Yeah, I like
live chickens in the house.
Really?
Live chickens. This is before. And remember, Granddad is a countryman.
Yeah.
Countryman from Jamaica.
Yeah.
So we had chickens in the kitchen. This I remember.
How old were you when this happened?
Probably I'm 2.
Wow.
3 something.
And you have that clear of a memory of it at that age?
Dude, my life is, I remember everything.
Wow. So
we had, in the backyard, there was an apple tree. And it's not the apple tree that you can eat. It's only the cooking apples, like the huge, big apples that you had there. So, yeah, I have several fond memories. Up the road, there's a place called Alexander Palace.
Yeah.
That was where everyone, they had concerts. It's kind of like a BAM.
Yeah, okay.
Right, Brooklyn, Arts and Music Museum.
How long did you live there?
That's a good question. I probably lived there till I was about 4 or 5. Because during that time it became turmoil. It was between 2 and 5. There's a lot of chaos during that time.
Do you mind sharing about some of that chaos that happened?
Yeah, well, before I reached 2, the first element of imbalance was when my father went to Nigeria. There was a civil war which was brought on by England. It was called the Biafran War. So he went back to fight. That's why I didn't grow up with my father.
I thought he went back for another reason.
No. Well, he went back to be a soldier.
I actually discovered during this interview.
You're going to learn.
Yeah, you're clearing up a lot for me. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's why he went back there to fight. Before he left, he told Granddad, my grandfather, to take care of the little one. So I was the last child. That's the whole meaning of my name,
Of Obiajula.
Yeah, the name means now content.
Wow.
So I'm like the last son. I'm his last son.
Wow.
So now he was done. He was finished having kids and all of that.
Wow. So when he leaves, what does life become for you and the rest of the family after that?
Well, I have no memory of him.
Yeah.
I have zero memory of him. During that time, your Uncle Andrew, and we were all walking down the road, and he kicked this bag over, and there was a bunch of money. This is one thing that I remember. There was a bunch of money that just flew out of this chips bag. When I say chips, it's like fish and chips.
Yeah.
They used to wrap fish and chips up in these papers, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it'd be newspaper, sometimes it's this white paper, but most of the time it was newspaper. So we were walking down the road, just at the end of the road, and he kicked this bag, and money just flew all out of it. And it was a grab for the money.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, I think he got hit by a car. Then your grandmother left for America. So I don't know how much money was made, what the incentive was for her to leave, but she left. And then when she left, my grandmother, your great grandmother,
yeah.
right? Your grandmother left completely. She left for a few years. So this is all between the age of 2 and 5. She left. So Jenny came in.
And who is Jenny?
Jenny is affectionately known as my second mother.
Yeah.
Jenny was a friend of a social worker. So you can see the imbalance now. There's a lot of chaos. Your grandmother leaves. Your great-grandmother leaves. Your grandfather leaves. So the only one that's left in the house to take care of everyone is my grandfather, to take care of all these kids. There's 5 of us at this point.
Yeah.
Your grandmother leaves. She takes 2 of the girls. That's right. She takes 2 of the girls. She takes Maria and Christine to America. So now left in the house is myself, Andrew, born. John came, I don't know.
So how many brothers and sisters in total?
Oh, my God.
At that time?
At that time, Maria and Christine leave. Yvonne, Derek, John, myself, born. And so that's 6 of us.
And what's happening with your mother at the time?
My mother took off. She wasn't really mentally stable. She took off. Something happened to her between that 2 and 4 age, and that's when she had another baby. Mm-hmm. She had another baby apart from my father. Mm-hmm. She leaves the house. She comes back with 2 other kids. That's how we have Derek and Yvonne. Now, Granddad is here taking care of all of these kids. He couldn't manage it all by himself. So the government sends in social workers. Jenny's a friend of the social worker.
And this is how Jenny comes into play.
This is how Jenny comes into my life.
What's her role in relation to the social worker? Why does she step in?
She's a friend of the social worker, and the social worker asks her, could you help me out? Because, it's kind of a large family, and I just can't do it on my own.
Jenny is a black woman, white woman?
Jenny is a white woman.
Copy. I know this, obviously.
But for the listener, Jenny is a Caucasian. She's in her 20 years. She's about 20 years old at this point.
22.
Yeah, 21, 22, something like that.
She's in school at the time. Right?
She's in school. She's in film school.
Wow. And you're about 4 or 5 when she steps in?
No.
Younger than that?
Younger than that. I'm in my 2s. I'm in my
2
2s and 3s.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So when she steps in, what kind of role does she play? How does she step in?
First, she's just coming on the weekends, seeing the kids, and she got attached to the kids.
Kind of volunteering, you would say?
Yeah, just volunteering. Yeah. Just volunteering. There's no monetary reward for her.
Wow. And she's when you say volunteering, how does that look?
Well, she's taking us out. We're going on outings, she's keeping our minds busy so we're not, dwelling on the situation. We're going fishing, the bigger kids, they went to Ali Pali, which is Alexander Palace. I couldn't go there, but, we'd go right across the street from the house is a park.
Yeah.
And across from the park is a swimming pool, kind of like a YMCA.
Okay.
So she would take us to the YMCA. I almost drowned. It was only 2 feet of water, but to me...
I know this story.
It was only 2 feet of water, but to me it was like, 10 feet of water.
Yeah.
And Jenny jumped in and saved me and pulled me out of the water. Wow. Since then, I haven't really swam since that.
Okay, so how does that relationship of volunteering progress to her becoming your second mother, as you described early on?
Well, as I said, there was a collapse of the family structure, and then we were sent into foster homes.
Wow.
So we were in foster homes. Myself and Bourne were in foster homes.
This is your older brother.
Yeah. I think Yvonne and Derek were still with Mommy and her new boyfriend, Louise's father.
Yeah.
So we were in foster homes, and it was dread. It was dread. It wasn't very nice because, no kid wants to be away from the family. Yeah. So I told Bourne to call Jenny, and he didn't remember the number, but I gave him the number to call her collect.
You remember the number?
Oh, yeah.
How old were you remembering this number? 3, 4, 4, 5. You remembered it?
I know Jenny.
It wasn't written down. Just
no. This is different times.
Yeah, this is what. Yeah, but let's state what the time is. 19.
This is 1967, 1969, 1970.
Wow.
71. Probably. Let's give it 71.
Wow.
71, 70, yeah, because 71, 72, no more than 72, because 73 is when I came to America. So
you remember the number, you call her. What
yeah, Bourne calls her.
Yeah,
and we scream, "Come get us!" And we called her several times.
Yeah?
Come and get us. Oh yeah.
What did she say?
She said she will, she would. She had to work this thing out. This is government stuff. You can't just run in there and take kids.
So eventually, how did that process?
She gets us out. She couldn't actually foster us herself right away, but she did get us out, and she got us to a friend of hers named Burdine. Is it Burdine? Burdine. I think no, it's not Burdine. Bernadette. Let's just go with Bernadette.
Okay.
So we stayed by her house, and her brother, Jan. His name I remember quite frequently, but very, very vividly. Jan.
Name. Hard to forget that.
Yeah, Jan. Bernice. Her name was Bernice. Yes, her name was Bernice, and she lived in the country. And I'm not gonna say Sussex, but she lived in the country.
So you're with Bernice for how long?
Maybe a month or two.
And then
Jen comes to us.
to Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny came and got us. No. After we went to Bernice, we went to Mr. R's. That's another foster parent. We went to Mr. R's. He taught me chess there.
Wow.
So I learned chess. But then it was very nice, very posh place. And, they drive up to the house. Those yellow colored stones? You find them on the beach in London. Very nice, very nice. You had to go up these kind of like Gone with the Wind stairs. Those spiral staircases. Yeah, it was very grand. It was a grand house.
So they were of means. They were.
Oh, they were wealthy. They were wealthy.
Yeah.
And his wife was a bitch. His wife, I didn't like his wife at all.
Was she just mean?
She was just mean. She was just mean. I think she was jealous. I'm not sure if it was racism. I think it was just. I'm not sure if it was racism, because he was very nice. Yeah. He was fatherly,
Was he had her not wanting any kids in the house.
Maybe there was some jealousy because he stopped paying her attention, or I'm not sure what it could be. It could be 1,000 things. Yeah.
So, but sorry, keep going.
But he was very nice and very nurturing as a person. He was very patient. I mean, he taught me chess. Yeah. So he was very nice.
When did you get settled in with Jenny, and what was that?
Pardon? When did I get
settled with Jenny, and what was the living situation?
While I was living with Mr. R, I was running and I cut my leg. I have the scar right here, and I had to have stitches. It's on my thigh right here. I had to have stitches, and that was it for Jen. That was it. She's not having it. She came to see me. They was giving me stitches live. Back then, they didn't give you needles. No. Yeah. No, they were stitching me up live. And I'm a baby, you know what I mean? I'm like, anyway, so that was it. Jen took me out of there, and that's when we made arrangements.
So how is she in her early 20s able to take on 2 kids And let's be honest, two black kids in London in 1969. Like, how was she arranged?
Well, this is after '69, so this is in the
71.
'70s. It was still a chore for her because we were wild and savage like. I'm not gonna say savage like, but we're just unruly. You know what I mean? We were unruly kids. You know what I mean? So we would run off, Born especially. Oh my God! One time we ran away from Bernice's. Born ran away. We both ran away, Jen said. I remember we was hiding so picture this. It's where we were in Bernice's location. There was these old bunkers.
Yeah.
Like, war bunkers.
Yeah.
So we took off in different directions.
Yeah.
Born's this way and I'm the other way.
Yeah.
And Jenny breaks down. Like she couldn't, like,
just overwhelmed.
Just overwhelmed, man. It's just like I said, we was pretty wild. And Born is hiding in the bunker. And finally, she gets him out. She coaxes him out, and because he sees her crying, and he's like, yo, me, I was an easy catch. I really couldn't go that far, but Born, yeah, he made a breakdown, and she when she was crying, that's when he came out.
So when did you eventually find a rhythm and like a structure living with her?
It took a while because once I got to the flat, I was, I almost committed suicide out that window there. You see that nice archway?
Where was the flat? Wait, let's not get too ahead. Where was the flat?
The flat was in Regent's Park,
and that's where she took you.
Yeah, that's home. That became home in London. Yeah, but it took a lot. It took a lot to get us to settle down.
You said you nearly committed suicide. What brought that on?
I guess, the feeling of no one loving you and not finding your place, not having a place. You know what I mean? Not even really. This was just coming there. This is not like we haven't been there before, but now this is going to be home, and we just have to be settled and feeling, comfortable. Yeah. I mean, when a child is not comfortable when they're urinating every night in their bed, Yeah. So that's a sure sign of uncomfortability. Yeah. So that was what was happening. Wow. It was life was unstable.
When did you eventually get comfortable?
I got comfortable. Well, it took a lot to get us comfortable, but there was things that made you comfortable. The food. Yeah. You get cheese on toast, which these are treats for a kid. Because when I was living at your grandmother's house, we would melt sugar for sweets. Wow. That was a treat. Yeah. Sugar, burn sugar. We would burn sugar on the fireplace.
So you were previously living in
poverty.
Extreme poverty.
Straight poverty. Yeah. But in a nice way. When I say a nice way, we had a nice house. Yeah. 2 living rooms. Yeah. Upstairs, nice bedrooms. But the level of money and so forth, like that, it was not nice. Yeah.
So was that a culture shock for you to have access to?
I wouldn't say culture shock. I would say it was a boost in our living conditions. Yeah.
What else transpired? Like how was
we would have? I'm gonna give you some examples of what was better. Like we would take a bath, right? And you would have. I had my time in the bath to actually be a kid. Yeah. Right, where I could play in the bath, right? Yeah. So Jenny drank wine, and she would have these corks, those floating corks, right? So those are my toys. We used to call them the corkscrew men. Yeah. This is vivid stuff. So my time in the bath, she would just get this bowl and throw all these corks in there, and I would just have like the world of the best time in the bathtub. Yeah. So this was something that I that made a transition from being comfortable and not being comfortable. These things, and I would come out of the bath, and I had my room. We had you see the big room that Jenny sleeps in. Yeah. That was my bedroom. Okay, that was my bedroom. She slept in the other room in the back. So yeah, it was very comfortable like that. These are the kind of things. And she also bought us a bike. She bought Born a bike first. Yeah. She bought him a fold-up bike, and I was really jealous of that. Yeah. But then we went to the country. We went. I think we went to Sussex or something, some guy was selling this old bike for like £3.
Yeah.
And I wanted it so bad, and she bought the bike for me.
Wow.
And she taught me how to ride in Sussex.
Wow.
Like, she was holding the back of the bike while I was pedaling, and she let go without me knowing, and I'm riding, right? And then look, she goes, Marky, you're riding. I'm like, I'm riding, Jenny, I'm riding. Totally remember this. This.
So I want to continue into like the lifestyle and what was happening around that. Were you in school? What were you doing in school?
Well, before when I was in the care of my biological mother, school and I had some issues, like some good issues and some not so good issues. Like, I enjoyed the lunchtime. Everything revolves around food for me because I enjoy food. Lunch was good, but then going to school. This is before Granddad left. This is just before Granddad left. Before Granddad left, that's when everything collapsed. When Granddad left, there was no more. There was no more stability. And Jenny was coming during the time when Granddad was there.
Yeah.
So they know each other very well. It's not like they're very friends.
So she had some introduction to the family.
She had introduction to everyone.
Okay. So she knew the norms.
She even knew Grandma before she left.
Okay.
But there was trouble going on all this time since at the age of 1. Maria is my older sister. Maria said that she was in my life from she was 1. I have 0 memories of my mother from 1 to 6.
Your biological mother.
My biological mother. And I asked Jenny, I said, Jenny, how comes I have all these childhood memories of you, but how comes I don't have any memories of Mommy? She goes, well, she wasn't there, was she?
Wow. So what was school like for you living with Jenny?
Sorry,
no
I
worries.
digress.
That's okay.
School was excellent because at that time I left the public school system and I went into private school. I went to boarding school.
And this was paid for by Jenny?
Paid for by either Jenny or the government. But Jenny took me to the schools to research which school I wanted to go to.
Yeah, wow.
So when I did go, we went to the it's called a Steiner school. It's pretty famous in America now, but it's a Steiner school, and it's for people like myself who are artists who don't want to conform to the way society teaches you and so forth like that. It's a pretty well-known structural school, Steiner schools.
So what did you choose to study when you got there? What was your
arts?
Focus?
My
all kinds. Any particular
form? I was doing eurythmy. It's a form of dancing. I played the violin, the recorder. I did a little bit of theater. Yeah, I did theater in the room mostly. But I did theater. Theater was another big thing for me. I did plays in the school as well too.
How did music come into play? When did you find or discover your love?
Music was I guess that was a comfort because Jen bought a xylophone, a cheap one, and she just saw I was musical with it. And then when I would go to people's homes and they had the piano, I'd get on the piano and play chopsticks and all this stuff.
Were you vocalizing at that point?
Singing? No. I didn't start actually singing until I got to America.
Okay. And that is a nice segue. So you're living with Jenny now. You find some comfort, more stability. You're in a private boarding school. How does that end? How do you come to America? What are the circumstances around that?
Well, it was Christmas.
What year?
1973.
And you're 7, 8 years old?
Yeah.
8 years old.
Yeah. So before, I'm going to skip up. Before Christmas, maybe I would say like a month or 2, 3 months or something like that, your great grandmother comes to my house, comes to the school, and she demands to see me, right?
And this is in England?
This is in England.
Okay. She comes from New York?
Right. She's coming from America. And she demands to see me. She calls Jenny, and Jenny says, yes, that's the grandmother. You can bring her up. Okay. Then she comes back around Christmas time. we were studying for the Christmas play, which I was in, and it was maybe a few days before Christmas.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like the 21st of December. Yeah, around that time, because the play would have been on Christmas Day. So she comes and, well, let me go back to the first time. The first time she comes, she takes me to Woolworth. Woolworth is kind of like a Macy's or something like that in England. Mm-hmm. And in England, during that time, they had photo booths. So you'd go in a photo booth and take pictures. Well, she brought me in a photo booth, and she took some pictures of me, and she goes, "Oh, that's no good. Remember, just get rid of that. This is no good." But what she did say was, "Don't tell Jenny." I didn't think anything of it. She threw it away. It didn't make any sense. I'm a child. Who cares? She comes back during December time.
This is the second visit.
This is the second visit, and she has Yvonne, Derek, Bourne, John, and I'm the missing person.
These are all your siblings.
Yeah. So she goes to the school and tells them she wants to take him. Takes me. But they're like, no, you can't do that. It's Christmas. He's getting ready to do the play, blah, blah. She's making up a big fuss. Then they get in touch with Jenny's boyfriend, Jenny's then boyfriend. And his name is Jalian. Jalian gives my grandmother permission to take me out. Well, she takes me out, and the next stop was America.
What do you mean?
Well, she takes me out, and I'm off to America.
Where did she take you from the school?
She takes me from the school, then she takes me to my cousin's house, which I later on found out that was my cousin's house, the pit stop. And then she takes me to America. So that picture,
to the airport?
She took.
From the school, yeah.
So that picture that she took for me, she made a passport out of it.
Wow.
And then boom.
So she was secretly, every time she visited.
Yeah, she knew exactly what she was doing. Right? Yep, she did. So in instances, I say I was either rescued or I was kidnapped. It depends on the given day of the situation of how I'm feeling. It's a mood thing.
So you're 8 years old.
Yep.
You randomly getting taken to America from England by your grandmother, a relative.
Right. Now she's actually taking me out of the guardianship of Jenny because she's my legal guardian at this point.
So that was a question I had. So Jenny legally filed for the rights to be your guardian.
Yes. She was my legal guardian.
You had finally
got settled.
Established some stability after a traumatic experience with your mother, your father leaving, and separated from your siblings and being out of foster care, and now pretty much the same thing that you came out of, you're in again, and now you're in America.
Right.
And you're in New York City, right?
Right. I'm in Brownsville.
Brownsville, Brooklyn. Never ran, never will. Wow. Yeah. So I have two questions. Yeah. What happens with Jenny? What does she do? Does she have a response to this? And
Jenny comes over.
Yeah, I'll let you answer that question first.
Jenny
she flies over to.
She flies over to say, "Listen, hey, I know they're your grandkids. You know, you didn't have to do that. All you had to do is say da 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 da. You know, I thought Jenny was coming back to get me because I was in the school. I heard she was there. All right, here's what happened. She comes to the house, and my grandmother hides us in the bedroom, in her bedroom, locks the door. Jenny's outside of the in the living room.
Yeah. And
I hear them talking, and I'm like, one thing, my grandmother is a very intimidating person, like your grandmother. They're the same sign. And the Jamaican is like, at 8 years old, there's no defense. You're not going up against her. Very intimidating. And Jenny's on the other side of that door. I could have burst through that door and let her just take me. Instead, I just cowered in the room. Well, I just did what I was told. And then when I went to school, I was in school already. I thought, she's going to come and get me. She's going to find me. She's going to get me and then rescue me and get me out of here. It never happened. But she continued to stay in my life, even though these barriers were put up against her.
How did she do that?
She always remembered my birthday. She'd send me something every year on my birthday.
Wow.
You know, when my grandmother passed away, which was 3 years later after I was born here, I was already in America. But she didn't come and get me, but she stayed in my life.
And
You know, she always called. She'd call on my birthday. She'd send cards on my birthday, like always.
so now you're in America.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, find belonging here? How do you make a life? How do you
I assimilated.
accept-
I assimilated. It took a lot of assimilation. You know, the first day of school was a battle. The first day of school, I got into a fight
Why?
because I was English.
They were picking on you?
Yeah, the first day of school. I mean, it lasted till like a year of going to school. I had to fight every day. I beat up everybody.
Wow.
I beat up everybody. I didn't know how to fight, but I learned very fast.
So where did you find comfort? What was the thing in America that gave you peace and made you feel seen and understood?
I would say what brought me peace was music, discovering my voice and discovering talent.
How did you do that?
I just heard some music one day. Actually, I wanted to be a rapper.
Really?
I wanted to be an MC. But your uncle was kicking me away from his group, his homeboys and all of that. So I delved into more of the Jamaican side.
Yeah.
That's how I got into the Jamaican music, because there was no avenue. He wasn't giving me an avenue to the American side.
And your mother's Jamaican?
And my mother's
Did
Jamaican.
you feel
My
connected
grandfather's
to those roots prior to coming to America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. I think I always could speak Jamaican because of Granddad. I was very close.
Yeah.
I could always speak Patois because I was very close to your great grandfather. I was very close.
And he was a
He was
Jamaican.
he was a real
Do
Jamaican.
one of his impressions?
Mark, come here, Mark. You don't know. Well, all right, then.
All right. So you find your voice through music, and you find it through dancehall music. How do you grow in that? Where do you feel established at? We're kind of running further into the story because we're limited on time now.
Okay.
I want to know how you find your voice in reggae and dancehall. At what age do you feel like you're like
That I'm
can
there.
really do this?
Well, I never was really saying I was committed to do this. To me, it was just a hobby, to be honest with you. It was just something I would do in the house. I wanted to do it. And then when I hooked up with these Jamaican guys, the two Johns, they had me just as a DJ, spinning the music back and forth for them and pulling the lever down. I really wasn't going to be an artist until they, suggested they was going to write for me.
Yeah.
When they said they was going to write for me, they was like, yo, you can't talk, but you can speak Patois. So, you should get on the mic too. I write some lyrics for you. I was insulted.
Why were you insulted?
Because as though I can't write.
Yeah.
I said, let me write my own lyrics and then, I'll come to it. So that was the beginning of me getting on the mic.
And then when did you cut your first record?
Oh, my first record was, 1984, 85.
And how far along are you in the process of making music up to that point?
I was just singing in the house there.
So it was about 6-7 years, you'd say? 5, 10?
It took for me to get to that part. To that part. Say I started in 1972 as an artist.
Yeah.
Coming out, just learning the craft.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready until after high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't ready because I thought I was ready, of course.
So you're spending your time working in dance hall.
Yeah.
You finally got your chops up enough to cut some records.
Yeah.
How does that transition into ska?
It was my second record that got the attention of a manager in Manhattan. When I did the second record, because I was showing the versatility, I was rapping, I was singing, and I was chatting, and that manager, she just lost Shinehead, which is a very known artist in the reggae industry. And so she wanted to replace him. And here I go, doing the same thing that he did. So she gave me the opportunity to meet the Toasters, audition for them, she wanted me to gain some stage experience. So that was the real reason for going there. And, I did a lot of type of music. I did a lot of different types of music during that time. House music, R&B, and everything. So this was actually a dare to join the Toasters. She was like, well, you said you could do any kind of music, which is the philosophy of dance, or any rhythm, you know? So she said, you said, well, now I couldn't swallow my words. I said, okay, I'll give it a chance.
How did you feel when you had your first show and you were in the band?
The first show was electrifying. Yeah. Because all the myths that you get in the hood, that white people hate you, white people do not like black people, it was all debunked. Because I got standing ovation. Yeah. They never heard like the genuine artifact before. Yeah.
So from it being a dare and you just jumping into this genre that you had no intentions of being in, how did that turn into a 30+ year career in it and still doing it? How did that happen?
Felt very comfortable. Yeah. Very comfortable. It was an accepting place, non-judgmental, and welcoming.
Yeah. Wow. I think that's all I have to ask at this point. I want to thank you for coming and doing this. Obviously, there's a lot more we could have gotten to, but it's important for me to tell this story because it's my story as well. It's part of my journey. Thank you for coming.
It was my pleasure to be here, and we'll get to the part 2.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
I'm curious, we have a lot of your childhood that we go right into a lot of the music.
Yeah.
I'm curious, sort of looking back, I know you talked about a lot of changes in your childhood. How do you see Jenny and how do you see your grandma? How are those presences?
Jenny is and was my guardian angel, my guiding light, my example of success, example of love, just my stability, constant stability. I mean, I think if I didn't have her in my life, I would have been like a lot of my friends that never experienced travel, never experienced culture, fine living. Dude, my life, I traveled back and forth from England to America after I was old enough to get my green card. My life has been exemplary to just an aristocratic kid. I mean, I'm far from ghetto, although I can be ghetto. No, without Jenny, there would be no me as I am now. No acceptance of races and no acceptance of different people, different ideas. My grandmother, I would see her sometimes as a villain, sometimes as a savior. Because having been able to travel back and forth, as I said, and seeing how my sister and my siblings have been living different from how I live, straight into England wasn't the way to go. So I know now that coming to America, it was definitely one of the best things that happened to me, and one of the worst things that happened to me. How do you go from a horseback riding to playing skilly in the street?
I'm sure you've had a lot of time to think and reconcile with her decision to take you guys. How does that? And it's interesting because it opens up an entire different possibility of your life.
Yeah, I haven't really reconciled with it, you know, because my sister had the full hand of that social life. She was a what's it, did you call that's a, was it what's the is it equestrian? What is those when you ride equestrian, right? You know, with the hat and the jacket I missed out on all of that. So I haven't really reconciled with it. But then again, I do say, you know, as I said, it's a mood thing. It's a mood thing. I was saved. I was rescued. I was kidnapped. It's really dependent on how I feel. I haven't really reconciled with it. It's going to be a never-ending battle with myself.
Thank you. I heard before we started the recording that you were a founder of a type of music.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. Because I was in the ska scene, my music comes from out of the ska scene, and it comes from out of the dancehall reggae scene too, which, you know, is a hybrid. But within the ska scene, I was exposed to a lot more music, some jazz music. And before that, because I started my career with hip hop. I was born under the hip hop flag, so I injected every music that I know that pertains to urban music and rock and roll. So the music that I found is called raga core. Raga because of the Jamaican aspect, the core because of the hardcore music that you get in the city, like the punk rock and all of the hardcore screaming and all of that. So my music is a fusion of all of these cultures that I've been exposed to, you know. But the base would be ska, reggae, hardcore, and dub, and it's just a fusion. So it's, you know, it's mixed up so much that it's just become something of its own.
And do you see or hear some of your work in what happens now?
What I do has caught on to many other bands, and so many other bands do what I started. And whether they, you know, a lot of people know who I am, so, but whether they give me the credit for it, it's up to them. But I know.
I love ending with that, but I do want to ask if you guys want to say anything to each other before we end.
Yeah, man, I love this young man. This man is my pride and joy. He's the better of me. Mark, you are the better of me. Cheers.
I say I love you as well, very much. I stand on your shoulders. I think everything that I've been able to come is because of the nuances and the sequence of events of your life. And yeah, thank you. This is me paying homage to you.
Thank you.